Calling all of you. Today we are here with the second session of the yearly past papers for O levels and the first paper of P2. That's October November 2023. Variant is 2-2. Time allowed is 1 hour 45 minutes. Please note that this paper is similar to 0478 paper as well of winter 23 variant 2-2. For 0478 and for 2210 the papers were same. Okay, now going towards the instructions. So what are the instructions? Again, the instructions are somewhat similar to your P1. Answer all the questions, use black or blue pen. You may use a HB pencil for any diagram or graphs. Write your name, center number, and candidate number in the boxes at the top of the pages at the space provided over here. You are not allowed to use any sort of the erasable pen or a correction fluid. You are not allowed to write anything on the barcode right over here. And just after that, calculators must not be used in this paper at all. Information provided is the total marks for this paper is 75. The number of marks for each question of part question or part question is shown in the bracket. Square bracket is shown over there. No marks will be awarded for using the brand names, like for example, Microsoft or something like that. Coming towards question number one. Now, what does the question number one says? Tick one box to complete the sentence. Verification is used to make sure that value entered. Now, verification is utilized to verify that you have entered the right data or not. So they are saying has not changed during input, part A. And what we actually need to do, verification is used to make sure that value is entered. So what will be the choices? Has not changed during input, is an integer, is correct, is not a string. So is correct, but in a format that is not changed while we are entering that. So we are entering the same data as we are supposed to enter. So over here, the answer would be A over here, has not changed during an input. Now for the other one, they are saying question number two. What does that say? A type of the validation check is len check. Another type of the validation check is used to make sure that any data entered is in the format date, two digits for the date, two for the month, four for the year, style. DD means day, MM means month, and Y, four times Y means year. State the type of the validation check. So as I told you that we need to check the format over here. So that will be a format check. Apart from that, we are having the len check, we are having the format check, presence check, range check. We are having these type of the checks for the validation. So over here, the answer will be format check. Just after that, we do have a question or part B. Give one example of a normal test data and one example of the abnormal test data you should use to make sure the check in part A is working correctly. State the reason of your choice. State the reason for each of your choice of test data. Okay. Now coming towards the normal, they have already defined the test data. So they have defined with the normal and abnormal. So you need to give the uh, examples for this one. So we were having two for the date, two for the month, and four for the year. So we can write it down. For example, we can write it down today's date. That will be 7th 04 2024. The date is in given format. You can write it down in this pattern. Now for the abnormal data. So we can write it down for the abnormal data with today's date as in the format 07 April 2024. Now why it is an abnormal format does not allow for a string or words you may write. It does not allow for a string to be entered. You can write it down in this manner. Or you could, if you want to make it simple, so you may write it down that date is not in the format provided or in the format allowed. You can write it down in this manner as well. Okay, now they are saying describe how len check could be used with the date entered. Okay, so len check is actually checking with the length. Now, how many characters are there overall with the length? So we do have 2 to 4, 4 and 4, 8. 8 over here, but these backslash will be counted as the characters as well. So overall there are 10 characters. So len check will check if date is or number of characters in date is number of characters in date is neither less not more, neither less not more than 10 characters. So we have to mention with the 10 characters over here. Okay. Now coming towards the question number three. What does the question number three says? Four pseudocode statements and five pseudocode uses are shown. Draw one line to link each pseudocode statement to the most appropriate pseudocode use. Not all the pseudocode uses will be required. Okay, make sure that not all of them are required. So now they are saying call color. So call, we do utilize the call when we are utilizing the procedures to see counting, finding average, totaling, using a conditional statement, using a procedure. Yeah, we are utilizing call when we are utilizing a procedure, and we are utilizing return when we do use a function. Okay, now next one is value a1 plus a2 plus a3, and that is being divided by 3. So that means we are taking out an average because sum divided by the number of the contents is over here. Then we do have a loop is provided with the value loop plus 1. So that means we are counting over here. We are not taking out the total, or we are not taking out the sum over here. We are counting. That means a counter. Increment by 1, then increment by 1, then increment by 1, and so on. Now they are saying if count is greater than 7, then x1 is equals to true. If, so if is a conditional statement, if and switch case statements, these are the two conditional statements. So totaling is left over here because they already said to us that it's not necessary that all the statements will be utilized. Okay, now part B is of 4 marks. Now what does the part B says? The part B says a one-dimensional array, 1D array called temperature has 25 elements. So it's a one-dimensional array, so it could store 25 elements easily. Beginning at index 1, that means the range will be from 1 till 25. It holds the value that ranges between -20 and 100 inclusive. Write pseudocode algorithm using a single loop to find the lowest value in this array and output the result only once. Okay, we need to find out the minimum value. So they have already given us the range that the numbers will be from -20 till 100. So minimum value, or we can take a variable with the min, and obviously that will be having a maximum value. So any number shorter than that or less than that will be entered over here. So min will initialize with the value 100. Now they have told us to utilize a single loop. So we can just take it for, sorry, that will be in capital because the keyword. So for count, or we can take it index as well. Now I've written count. So count for count, and the value will be from 1 to 25 because they already told us that there will be 25 elements over there. Now we do have a condition. If temperature was the name of the index. So we will be saying if temperature okay, do remember that we need to write down the name of the array in the same format as it is provided to us. So it was in a sentence format, so we wrote it in the sentence format. Now count less than min. So what are we going to do? So min will be provided with a value of temperature count. Now what do I mean by that? And the first time the loop is going to execute, so the value for count will be 1. So the value at index position 1, it is compared with the variable minimum that was assigned with the initial value of 100. If it is less than that, then minimum will update itself and it will store that particular value that was available at index position 1. For example, at index number 1 or at count 1, it was minus 20 till 100. So it was, for example, 0. So now minimum, it is obviously 0 is less than 100. So obviously the minimum will update its value to 0 now. Okay. Now we do have an and if over here. Just after the and if, now we need to finish the loop as well. So it will be a next count. After the next count, they just ask us to uh, print the output the result only once. So we can just output the minimum value is, or the min yeah, the min value or the minimum value is, minimum value is, and the name of the variable, that's min. So in this pattern we need to do this part. Okay, now coming towards the next question, that's for debugging. What does this question says? It says an algorithm has been written in pseudocode to allow the names of 50 cities. How many cities are there? 50 cities and their countries to be entered and stored in a two-dimensional array. The contents of the array are then output. Okay, the algorithm is there that is going to allow to store 50 cities and their countries. For example, Karachi with Pakistan, New Delhi with India, Jeddah with Saudi in this particular manner. Okay, stored in a two-dimensional array. The contents of the array are then output. Okay, so there are declared city 1 till 50, the rows. The columns are 1 till 2. That means in the first one, it will be a in this particular manner, you may say 1, 2, and 1 till 50. So city and 2 will be with the country name. So I told Karachi, Pakistan, New Delhi, for example, at 2, uh, India, Jeddah, sorry, spelling is wrong, Jeddah with KSA, and so on. Okay. Now they are saying we need to debug the errors in this. Identify the 4 errors in the pseudocode and suggest corrections. Okay, now they are saying declare city array 1 till 50, 1 till 2 of Boolean. So this can't happen that it can't be a Boolean right over here because the names are not the Boolean. So we can error number 1. So it's in line 1. Line 1, what is the error? Um, we can write it down array 1 to 50, 1 to 2 of Boolean. Now it should be array 1 to 50, comma 1 till 2 of string. It should be of string type. So this is how we are going to correct that thing. Okay. Now moving ahead, declare count will be an integer. That's fine. Out as an integer. Okay, fine. Count is provided with the initial value 1. Now they are saying if output enter the name of the city. Okay, that's fine. But with if they haven't placed the condition. So that's a point where we are doubtful. Let's see what they are doing further. So then now they're saying output enter the name of the city. Fair enough. Input city count 2. But according to the array, a two-dimensional array, 2 it was a country. So it should be output city count 1. So sorry, input city count 1. So what was the error number 2? We could say line 7. It was input city count 2. So what should be the error? Oh, sorry. How should it be corrected? It would be input city count, comma 1. Okay. Further, they are saying after that, line number 7, line number 8 says output enter the name of the country. So input city, country count. That's fine too. Count will be incremented by 1. Now we do have until count equals to 50. So they are utilizing at the 11th position, they are utilizing until, but at the 5th, they have started with the part as an if condition. So at the 5th, there will be line 5, if is the error, and it should be repeat. Okay. So now one more error is left. So we are going to start it from 1 till 50. So just after that, we are going to come over here for count 1 to 1. Now that's a tricky one. Why it is 1 to 1? So they are saying output the city, city out 1 is in, city out 2. That means it should be 1 till 50 because we are going to output with the city name and with the country name. So that should be for count for out 1 till 50. That means the loop should execute for 1 till 50 over here. So we will be writing for out assigned with value 1 to 1 should be for out assigned with the value 1 to 50. So that all the names of the cities and all the name of the country should be output right here. Okay, now for part B. So for the part B, they are saying describe the changes you should make to the corrected algorithm to allow the names of a country to be input and display only the stored cities from that country. Okay. If there are two cities or three cities from that particular country, for example, if it's from Saudi, so Saudi, they are having Jeddah, they are having Makkah, they are having Taif. So if they are having these countries, sorry, these cities from one country, KSA, so they are saying that you should enter the name of the country only, and that particular variable should output uh, the name of the city. So whatever the cities are stored over there. Okay, now they are saying that you what changes you need to make over here. Okay, so it's for 5 marks. You do not need to write the algorithm. So we do not need to rewrite the algorithm. We just need to make the changes in the similar algorithm, or we need to make that what algorithm should be uh, amended over here. So declare city will be fine, declare count will be fine, output will be fine, count will be fine. Okay. Now the conditions are we are going to input. These are fine as well. Okay. Now after until we do have an output statement. So before the output statement, we can say over here that which city. So between, we can write it down in this way, between line 11 and 12 and prompt, sorry, a prompt statement should be entered for asking name of the country, name of country for cities to be output. Okay, just after that, name should be entered in new variable. Okay, now once you have entered the new name, wow, now what it should do? Uh, add up an add up a if statement to search for cities according to entered city by user. We're going to enter, sorry, entered country by user, not city. Country by user. And then after that, what we can do, as we have entered over here, now the loop will be starting up. So just as the loop started, so what we can say, to be entered by the user, we have added up the if condition as well. So we can write it down that in between line 12 and 13, it would be line 12 and 13. Okay, just after that, we need to print them as well. If it matches, the output, where the output should be done. Let's see again. So now the output should be done between at line number 13 for the elements or for the city that it matches. If it matches, output should be done in line 13. If it does not, so search for next element. Now we can have a look once again at what we just said. Okay, I just told you guys that in between 11 and 20, you need to enter the country name. Sorry, 11 and 12, you need to enter the country name. Once that country name has been entered into a new variable, in between line 12 and 13, that means after the for loop has been started, you need to check it out with the if condition that if that country matches with the search element, so you need to output the cities accordingly. And if it does not, so it will be looking for the next element. Okay, now at question number 5. What do they ask in question number 5? They are saying how explain how variables and constants should be used when creating and running a program. Okay, so it is of 3 marks. So the first point could be variables and constants must have meaningful names, first of all. Meaningful names or meaningful identifiers, you may say. They both are allowed. They both are allowed to store data, to store data, but constant with fixed values. Example, value of pi, you may say, and variables with flexible values, you may say. Example, count. So the value of the count might change. Yeah, you're right, Hassan. So this is how we need to do this one. Okay. So that was all for the first session of this past paper. Inshallah ta'ala, we will be continuing further in the next session. Thank you so much, guys. Allah Hafiz.